welcome to part 2 of the Enterprise refit build. Going to be start working on these 3 components to begin with. So we're going to be doing the shuttle bay, the Arboretum, and also the VIP lounge, or the officers lounge, whichever way you want to call it really. I think the first one for me really is to get stuck into the Arboretum. So the things that we need to do to this is we need to chop off all of the Super Mario Bros trees, get those out. We're also going to dig out the pond that's in there already. We're actually going to put some proper pond in there. I'm going to get a little lump of rock or something and replace that little bit there and get some water flowing over that. So we've got some woodland scenics grass and gravel that we can put down on there. There's a few other things that I'm going to be doing on this. We've also got the photographics, the paragraphics photo etch parts that go on either side. So we've got that part that goes on there, and then also another part that goes on there. We've also got the HDA Model Works decals that go on there as well. One of the things that I am going to be doing to this as well is I will be, thanks to John Petrie, who had the good idea of lighting up the little displays that are in there. I've decided to light up mine as well, but I'm going to put decals in there of my own choice really, to be quite honest, on either side. One of the other things that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the doors out on either side. And I'm going to try and extend the corridors out just ever so slightly, not by too much because you don't need it out by too much, but I'm just going to extend those out just a little bit, and then put some people, if possible, sort of coming and going through those as well, just to help give it a little bit of depth. One of the other things I'm going to do with this as well is once the ponds are drilled out, I am going to come along with 2mm plastic card on the bottom side, just to actually deepen that up a little bit more, so we can actually try and get some realistic water in there. We're also going to go in on the underside of these bridges as well and actually grind those out to make them look like real bridges. So excuse me, I've got some of the wooden decking left over from the Valiant ship that I did, which is 1/350 as well, so that'll fit in scale with this, and I'm actually going to make those bridges out of wood. And if possible, I'm going to see if I can actually come up with something that we can make railings with on that as well. We've also got the 1/350 scale figures that we can put in there too. Now I know that you could say that that's an awful lot of work that's actually going to go into this for something really that's never going to be seen, but at the end of the day, you know, we do these things because we want to, really, at the end of the day, regardless of whether it's going to be seen or not. You know, you're going to see that it's there once it's all finished. I'm going to know, or I'm going to see it, and I'm also going to know that it's in there as well. So that's really, for me, the main reason why I'm doing that. Hopefully it won't take too long to do that, but, you know, again, as I said before, I haven't got a time limit on this kit. It's just going to be a case of it's done when it's done, and it's as simple as that. With the officers lounge, or the VIP lounge, whichever way you want to go, if you look at the view that you would get through the window, you can only see this screen here. You can't actually see the screen that's there. Now again, I've made 2 decals to go on these of my own. So what I am going to do is I am going to chop this wall right down and actually move it along back to the edge there. So it kind of lines up really with this part here. And again, if I can, I'll put some of that wooden decking down that I've got left from the Valiant build. Again, just going to get rid of all of the little Mario Super Bros trees, put some of my own stuff in there as well. You know, just tidy that up a little bit. Try and make that look reasonably good. Again, with a shuttle bay, you know, there's no kidding yourself on this one. If you look at that from that angle, that is basically all you're going to see of the shuttle bay. But again, I personally believe that it's worth actually sort of doing all the work to this this particular kit. I will be doing 1.5 of these actually. I'm going to be doing a cross section just to go on the display stand. That's going to kind of be like that really, and then obviously I'm going to be doing the full build. One of the things that I will be doing to this that I've not really seen a lot of people do is we've got I'm not sure whether you're going to actually see those yet. You can just about see them, those little indented oblongs in between the ribs. They're actually meant to be light sources in those, and they go all along to the end there. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to hog those out and actually light those up as they're meant to be. Something that you just don't really see happening, to be quite honest. And then as you can see, where I've got all of the pencil marks is where you've got all of the injector pin marks as well. Now some of those I will definitely need to get rid of when I do the full build of the shuttle bay. Some of the others I won't really need to worry about too much, because you're just not going to see them. But when I do the half build like this, as you can see, we've got sort of injector pin marks all over the place. You know, to be quite honest, I think that's actually disgusting. Gonna go on a little bit of a rant here. I think Polar Lights could have done a lot better. All of these injector pin marks could have been on the bottom, you know, where they're not going to be seen, on the outside of the kit, not on the inside of the kit. You know, you don't pay the kind of money that you pay for this kit to have to expect to go around and filling in all of these holes. You know, it should come out looking absolutely perfect for the kind of money that you pay for this kit. But there you go. So hopefully Polar Lights round 2 might sort their act out one day and actually make a proper kit that's actually worth the kind of money that they charge for them. But there you go. Little rant over. So with that, apart from the little lights that go up across the walkways there, we've got the photo etch kit that goes in. One of the other things that I'm going to be doing as well, which you don't really see a lot, I'll show you on this actually, it's going to be easier. On here we've got the little walkway, and there is actually meant to be a doorway or a hatch that leads through from this side all the way through to the other side as well, because that's meant to be one continual walkway. So I'm going to hog that out, get that sorted out, put all the railings on there. We've got the photo edge ribs that go all along the side. One of the other things as well, you're not really going to see it once it's in place, but once all the ribs are in, they only jut out about 1/3 of the way on each side. Sorry, let's get that back into shot for you. So the ribs only jut out sort of halfway. So I'm going to get some styrene and actually put those ribs across properly how they should be. Whether you'll see them or not, I'm not really too sure, to be quite honest. But you know, if we put that back on like so, you might see a little bit of detail, but you might not. You know, it depends on whether you can get the camera at the right angle or not. But again, you know, it's one of those little details. I know that that detail's there. Obviously you'll know that that detail's there too. So sorry, excuse me, I've just got a frog in my throat there. So you know, it's going to be worth the effort to do it, I think. We've also got the windows that are in there as well, that all need to be lit up. If we turn it around to that side, I'm still kind of toying with the idea of actually boxing this off from this side and putting a light source in there to shine through and getting a couple of little people in there. Again, whether you'll be able to see them or not is a different thing, but at least it'll add a little bit more sort of to the kit itself. One of the other things that I'm going to attempt to do when I do the crosscut, as I like to call it, on here you've got you're meant to have a little ramp there, a little lift that lifts the shuttlecrafts up and down. Now what I'm thinking about doing, to be quite honest, is actually cutting those, cutting them out and actually extending that platform underneath where you're meant to have, oh, let's bring that back into shot, I do apologise. So I'm thinking about cutting these little parts out here and extending the bay to about as far as you can take it, really. Sorry, we're going out of camera again. So the bay will come down there as far as it go, and then just gently swoop it back upwards, so we can sort of try and get a couple of park shuttle craft in there as well. Hopefully that should look pretty good if we can do it. I just have to look at the logistics of it. I mean, if you look at the back there, we have got a big chunk of plastic supporting that there, so that should be okay, I think. And I just have to see if we can find a way of actually supporting it from this end really as well, because what I don't want is that to suddenly start dipping down like that when it's only got half of the thing on. I might put the roof on that as well as a half shot, so it kind of looks like that. And I'll most probably end up enclosing this whole thing as well, but I'm not quite sure. I just have to look at the logistics of that just to really see what that kind of looks like. Time wise, again, you know, not sure how long it's going to take to do all of those three things. You know, it could take a couple of weeks, you know, it could take a couple of months, who knows. But I prefer to be able to get the detail right on these little bits as well. One of the other things that I will be doing as well actually is I will be using the Tenor Controls sequential landing bay lights. Now I am going to see if it is possible to extend that, because I think you only get 4 lights on each side, and if it's possible I would like to take that up to 8 lights on each side, because what I'd like to do is just have the first the first 6 white, and then an amber one, and then a red one. I know that's not strictly sort of canon, but I think, you know, that would look quite good if you've got a series of chasing lights going from white to amber to then red, and the red one stopping where you got that little square at the end there. I'm also going to try and get the yellow lines lit up as well, and hopefully that'll look pretty good. So there's going to be a lot of detail work that goes into these 3 kits, or these 3 parts of the kit. You know, and for me, it's not make or break, but you know, it's just something that I would like to have looking really, really good. So I'm going to start working on the shuttle bay. Sorry, not the shuttle bay, the Arboretum. So as soon as I've made some progress on that, I will come back to you. So we made some progress on the Arboretum. Hasn't really taken too long to get to this stage, but I just thought I'd show you where we're at really on this. As you can see, all of the little Super Mario Bros trees have disappeared. We've also got the 3 little ponds cut out as well, and I'm not sure whether you're going to see this or not, but you can see there at the bottom where we've actually ground down the inside of the bridges to try and get that kind of curvature, and to sort of some degree or another that's actually worked, which is good. So on this side as well, we just got rid of that ugly lump of plastic that was sitting there. So all I need to do now really is just get a little bit of rock or something to put in there, and then we can get the realistic water flow going over that. So that's starting to look good. All I need to do now really is just go around the outside of this with some quite thin 2mm plastic, because I really want to be able to follow the contours of that quite well, just so we can get the pond deepened off. As I say, it's only 2mm, but that's about 2mm anyway. So that's going to be a sort of like a 4mm deep pond really, which is, I suppose with the figures, that's actually quite deep. because the figures, I think they're only about 6mm tall, so that'd be quite deep for the little figures. They could go swimming in that actually. But that will be kind of almost one of the last things that I do really when I fill that pond up. What I am thinking about doing at the moment, just to be really different, is once I've got the styrene in place, the 2mm styrene, once that's in place, what I'm thinking about doing is just drilling hole, or before I put it on, I'm just thinking about drilling holes at a halfway point on that, just to every now and again, so we can get some 0.25mm fibre optics going in there, so it looks as though we've actually got some lights shining into the pond from various angles. I think that'll look quite cool. It'll take a little bit of time to do, I guess, but you know, what I'm thinking about doing is using those flashing rainbow the flashing rainbow LEDs in there as well, just to sort of get them different colours. So as soon as we've got some more progress made to this, I will come back to you. Okay, so we've made some more progress to the Arboretum. We've done some painting on this. What we've done is we've used the XF on, and I'm not sure what it is, it's a 6 something or other, but it is the field green, it's a Tamiya paint. I've used that for the grass areas. I've also used the Tamiya medium sea grey, which is the XF83, for the path, and then around the edges of the pond you can see a shade of brown in there. For that I've used the Revell Aquacolor range, and that's the earth brown, which is number 87. Now the reason why I've actually put some paint down on there sorry, excuse me, is because when I get around to using the grass and the gravel, I don't want any white showing through, so it's always best to put something down to cover it, or sorry, to cover the bare plastic. Then that way, if it is a little bit thin in one area, you're not really going to see too much of a difference. Once that's all in, what I can do is then just go over that with some of the Woodlands Scenic glue that's been thinned right down, and then I can spray that on, and then that will make sure that whatever's down stays down, and then it'll turn it into a bit of a matte colour as well. That's one of the other reasons why we're leaving the pond till last, is because we don't want the Woodland Scenic glue affecting that at all. So the next thing to me, for me to do really, is just to break out the parts for the walls from the photo etch kit. I can then start marking where I need to cut for the TV screens and also the doors. Now the good thing about that is that we don't need to be too precise without cutting on that, because obviously at the end of the day we've got the photo etch that's going to cover up any little indiscrepancies for us. So that's another good thing about that kit, is the fact that if you do overcut slightly, you've got the photo etch there that will bring it back to a good level, and also help with the light blocking in those areas as well. These little these little white areas here, they're just 3 little benches. We need to paint those separately. I'm most probably going to look at using the wooden decking that I've got to see if we can cover those up, because I think they look quite cool if we can get those wood. Obviously we've got the 2 bridges there again that I'll be using the wooden decking for. That's why they've not been painted. It's best to have those on a surface, a clean surface. And I think one of the things I'm going to need to do as well is use some kind of UPVA glue on those as well, to help the wooden deck conform to those curves properly without springing back up. So as soon as I've got some more work done to this, I will come back to you. We're marking out where we need to do the doors on both sides. As I say, we only need to really roughly get those into shape. Now I've taken off both of the parts from the sprue, from the photo etch, so we can see what they, so we can follow the contours of the doors. Obviously, once I finish with these parts, because I don't need them yet, I will put them back in the bag with the photo etch so they don't get damaged in any way. Now these are parts 15, which is this one, and that's the one with the funny shaped doors, and then 16, which is the one with the normal shaped doors. Now the good thing about these parts is, even though it does tell you in the instructions exactly what you need to do with these parts, I just thought I'd give you a bit of a helpful tip with these, because you don't see any of the detail areas inside this. It's just sort of like a little grey box really, and you can only see that one tab, so that does help you with the placement. But I think the best way to remember this is the fact that this little one here, number 16, we've got that little extra cutout there. That little cutout does line up with the waterfall on that side, which is a good thing. So we know that that fits in on that side. And then if we get the other one, which is number 15, and put that in, we notice that that lines up on that side perfectly as well. Now on this side of the photo etch, I'm not sure whether you're going to see it with just the camera. Hopefully you will. There's a little step in there. Yeah, you can just about barely see it. It basically starts at the edge of these little ribs. It's a bit difficult to see it when it's not painted, but hopefully you can see it there. And we know that that actually fits in with that side there. So as I say, all I've done is I've just gone along with a little magic marker, or a little Sharpie really, and marked out on the plastic exactly where we need those doors to be, and also for the TV screen there. So now we've marked those out, what I'm just going to do is just go in with my pin vise really, basically, which is here, and just go in there and just sort of start drilling those out and then tidy them up. And I'd obviously try and make a good as job as possible with this, because we don't want to be miles out or anything, so I'll make as good a job as possible. But as I say, it doesn't matter if we go outside those lines too much, because we've actually got the photo etch to help cover all of those little unpleasantries up. So what I'll do is, as soon as I've got some, as soon as I've got those little bits drilled out, I will come back to you. Okay, so we've now got the holes drilled and cut out for all of the parts that I need. So we've got the doors and the little TV screens, or they're going to be big TV screens really for the crew. We got that replicated on both sides. The photo etch parts themselves have just been painted in white, so I just need to let those dry off now properly. And I will be using the aftermarket decal set that's made by Jerry at HDA Model Works. Now I can tell you that these decals are absolutely fantastic. I've used these before, not this particular set, but I have used one of his sets before on the 2500 scale Defiant that are made for the Deep Space Nine space station. And they are absolutely fantastic decals. There's nothing wrong with them. They're laser printed, they're good quality, and you just cannot go wrong with these decals. They're absolutely fantastic. One thing that you do need to remember with aftermarket decals like this, compared to the decals that you would get in a normal kit, is the normal decals, if you was to get the whole sheet of decals and chuck it in a bowl of water, not that you would, but if you were to do that, every single decal that's actually on there will just float off individually and then get tangled up into a big spaghetti mess. Whereas with the aftermarket decals like this, because it's actually printed on a sheet of decal paper, if I was to get this and put it in a bowl of water, the whole sheet itself would come off, and I would still end up with every decal in its place. So what you need to do with these is, so you've got as less room as possible, or as less overhang as possible on the decal sheet on these, is you do need to cut these down as close to the edge of the actual decal itself as you possibly can. Now the good thing is with these ones is the fact that because they're relatively straight in most areas, it does mean that you'll be able to use a ruler to get those right up close, so you're not really going to have too much overhang on the decals there, which is fantastic. The other good thing about these decals from Jerry is the fact that every single one of them is actually numbered. Now these are numbered mainly to the photo etch parts. So for instance, this one here is number 16, which is also this one here too. So number 16, decal number 16, does actually correspond with part 16 on the photo etch sprue. And then this one here being decal number 15, that is for this one here, which is photo etch part number 15. So it's pretty cool the way that Jerry's actually done that. That does actually help a great deal. I mean, obviously with these ones you kind of know what they are and where they should be going. You know, the same with VIP lounge as well, sorry, the rec room as well. But you know, it's really cool that he's actually gone to that thought of actually doing it like that as well. So what I need to do now is I just need to get these parts trimmed down as close as possible to the edges. Once that's done, I'll then be able to get those put on to the photo etch parts. Once they're on, I'll be able to do a trial sort of dry fit on to the Arboretum, just to see where it is and see what I need to do to be able to get the little walls made up for the little corridors, etc. With these ones here for the TV screens, I think what I'm going to need to do as well is, now I've cut those out, is just put a little bit of clear plastic over the back of those and just frost those down just ever so slightly, so when I put the bulb up next to them, that's just going to give it a nice diffuse light for the decals on the other side. So that's about it for the moment. As soon as I've got some more work onto this, I will come back to you.